What's up everyone? It is Riley from Lacrosse Unlimited, and here we are going to string up the STX Hyperpower. This is such an underrated head that came out. A lot of the best shooters in the world have been using this, and we absolutely love seeing this one. Let's get into it and string up a mid pocket in the STX Hyperpower. Top string, same as always. Start in the first hole, get some loop starts. We're gonna fly through this one today because I know after all these videos, we got a bunch of professional stringers. Same thing I've said as always, if the holes up top allow for it, loop around twice. So we go through, pull all this slack out, make sure there's no twists and turns in the knots. Here we are, and we are good to go. We're gonna fly through this top string. For the Hyperpowers, I'm actually gonna use every single top string hole. So I'm gonna use the top center one as well. Something that does, it just gives that middle diamond a little extra love. Pull it up nice and tight, making sure things stay nice and consistent up top in the scoop. We're gonna go with our traditional but floating top string. With that, we're gonna go back of the mesh hole here, through the back front of the scoop, sorry. Down, but not back through the mesh. Get all the slack out. Back through without going through the mesh. Reverse it, go through the back of the scoop and forward. Create that anchor, and now we go back through the mesh. Holds that nice and tight. Now we're gonna do this center diamond, skipping none. Front of the scoop. Create that little loop down through there. Nice and tight, get all the slack out. Back of the scoop, through the loop we have here. Pull it nice and tight. So something cool about the Hyperpower. This is a non-traditional stick that was created to really enhance a shooter and their performance on the field. Most known for using this stick is Marcus Holman, STX athlete from UNC and now the Boston Cannons. Again, if you are a lacrosse player that shoots the ball not as hard as you'd like to, you can't just buy this thing and, change your game. But with training and different stringing options and things you can do with this head, I could definitely say from experience, this thing could absolutely help your game. So we're gonna finish off this top string with our loop finish, pull all the slack out nice and tight. Again, STX always does a good job keeping these holes huge as always. Get this through, pull all the slack out and finish it off. Back out of the plastic. There we go. Now we'll finish off with a double knot, keep it nice and tight and secure. So as you'll see, got all the anchors here on the mesh. After I do a top string, just like pulling it down, making sure everything's laying evenly. So you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way across. We usually do a traditional 4-point top string, but with that channel lock system and the Hyperpowers, we've always liked getting that extra little support in there. Now, going on to our sidewalls. We'll see here, generic knot to start it off. I like going doubles, make sure they don't slip through those holes. We'll start off the exact same way we did the top string. A double loop start. Once all the way around the plastic, back to the outside. Do it one more time. Try and string for efficiency here. Okay, now just to match it up on the other side, get the other side started. Personally, I like stringing pockets 1/2 at a time, but sometimes for the viewer, it's a little bit smarter or more beneficial to be able to go down halfway at a time rather than one side at a time. So So now, get all this extra out of there, pull the slack out, make sure you pull it all the way tight. So for this one, we're gonna go with a generic mid pocket. If you will see here, the Hyperpower has that offset that is obviously traditional to sticks, but you'll see the scoop actually retains its shape and comes back up. And you will see with accuracy and different speeds that you are gonna see a difference with using this stick. A traditional mid pocket is what this goes for. You can string a high, you can string a low. I'm just gonna go basic here. We're gonna start with a knot, skipping one hole, pull that down, get all the slack out, keep it nice and tight. Go to the other side, match it up through the mesh, down through that remaining loop, pull it nice and tight. Same thing, gonna do it again, skipping one, yank it down, keeping it tight. Make sure, you see how this knot pulled to the outside? I just like making sure it sits on top of the sidewall. Something else that the Hyperpower offers, you're able to string the stick to the inside with these additional teeth that they present to you on the inner rail. Love that option. For this video, we're not gonna go over that. We'll probably do it in a future video. We're gonna string this one traditionally. Now, I'm gonna add a little bit of depth to the pocket. So we're gonna do a one knot. So we'll do one, down to the back of the mesh, pull the string all the way through. I'm gonna skip a hole again. I'm gonna go outside of the plastic, up through the mesh hole. Now just a traditional knot. Putting a one before we do our knot actually just allows for a little bit of give here, puts one mesh hole higher up. That way the pocket can start forming. Traditionally, you can do your sticks however you'd like. You usually do pull downs and then just start stacking it up in the middle. Now we're gonna go outside of the plastic, up through the mesh for that knot on the second mesh diamond, pulling it down, keeping it super tight, and boom. So now, as the pocket goes, you'll see it's starting to form here. Now I'm gonna place a bunch of ones back and forth. So I'm gonna go with 3 in a row, create that mid pocket, skipping no holes. That's 1. Here's 2. Making sure we get all the slack out of that string. Again, a 1 is very simple. You go down through the back of the mesh, pull it all the way through, outside of the stick, up and through that loop that you got there, over the top of it. There you go. And now just looking at this pocket, I actually just decided I'm gonna do 1 more. So that's 4 in a row. Gonna really create that depth in the pocket. Here we are. So now, just to keep things consistent, make sure I'm forming the pocket how I want to as I go. I'm gonna flip over to the other side and continue with that exact same pattern. So it's going to be 4 ones in a row, back of the mesh, outside of the plastic, over and through the same loop. Pulling this nice and tight, keeping all the slack out. I've always just seen myself pulling or pushing the mesh forward as I string. So you'll see my hand on the inside, kind of just pushing the mesh up, making sure it sits as flush as possible. Here's our 3rd in a row. And then we will go 1 more. Again, here at Lacrosse Unlimited, we like keeping our sticks as simple as possible to where a pro can come take this stick and perform at the top of their game. A beginner can pick up this stick and learn the fundamentals. So to finish the pocket off, I'm gonna go with another 1, except this time I'm going to skip 1 hole. So I'm gonna skip 1 of the sidewall holes, tie it off. Nice and easy. All that slack out. Then to finish it off, I'll go inside of the plastic out, pull it all the way through, 1 more loop just to keep it nice and tight. If the hole allows for it, add the extra support. Pull that all the way and tie a very simple double knot. Okay, so now again, pounding that pocket out, I'm gonna do a 1, skipping 1 hole to match the other side. Skipping 1 sidewall hole, pull it all the way through. Make sure it's sitting on top of the sidewall rail. Now, same thing as before. Inside of the stick out to finish it off. Loop around 1 time. Beautiful. Same thing, pull the slack out. Make sure we're not leaving any string behind. Tie our double knot, keep it nice and tight. And we have finished our sidewalls. So now to get all this stuff out of the way, do the old cleanup. Take our scissors, cut the extra top string, cut the sidewalls, and torch them, just to make sure they're not fraying off all the time. So now we have our pocket all set. For the bottom string, traditionally what I do, whatever 10 diamond row I finish on, that's what I'll go through. See the 10 diamond, I skip the 10th and the 9th, I'll go in through the 8th, and I'll weave it all the way across, nice and easy. This allows for the mesh to be able to bunch up at the bottom. Mid pockets are able to shift high and low, and this helps with the lower end of things. Gonna be able to pull this through. Notice that this isn't sprayed off. Okay. Now, for the bottom string, pull that all the way through. I'm gonna go outside of the stick, from the bottom in, from the center holes, pull that a little bit, and then I'll go down from the inside of the stick out of the outside holes. Again, STX always has these bigger string holes that are super beneficial. Now from here, the pocket is from how you strung the sidewall, but now you get to do minor adjustments with the bottom string. If I let it all the way loose, it's gonna be way too deep. If I pull it in, it's gonna be just a little shallow for me. So I'm gonna make sure it has a little bit of room in there, nothing crazy. And when I'm comfortable, what I'm gonna do, again, having these extra sidewall be able to fit through these bottom strings, I'm gonna pull all the way through, one more loop, and tie it off on the bottom. We officially have our hyperpower drawn up. Having a pocket that's versatile, being able to go all the way low, a little bit higher, it's gonna add a little bit of shot speed, a little bit of accuracy, and you're gonna be able to really enhance your game with this stick. You can make sure you reach us at lacrosseunlimited.com for any of your needs. This is Riley at Lacrosse Unlimited with the STX Hyperpower all strung up with a mid pocket, and we will see you on the field or with this in the next one.